Instead of trying to fix something that already exists, today let's have fun making our very own poster for The Mandalorian Season 3.
Can we beat Disney at theirs? And can we do it using a toy?
Well, that is for you to decide. Let's get into it. As you may know from a previous video, I'm not a huge fan of the Mandalorian Season 3 posters. They're just a bit inconsistent and it's not for me. Now, most of you guys liked my re-edits but rightfully requested I make an original poster, something of my own. So I thought, why not? Today I'm making two brand new original designs.
This title card stood out to me, and since the other two seasons had a poster that kind of matched that tone and vibe of that title, I think it'd be cool to do that here as well. There's barely anything going on, just Mando in a calm landscape. And that's what we're going for this time again. Nothing too crazy, just a strong and powerful image.
Now, I don't have any new recent photos of the Mandalorian to use, so I thought, why not use this? I recently got my hands on this beautiful Hot Toys Mandalorian figure. It is insanely detailed. The question is, however, will we be able to make it look real? I love toy photography, but for some reason you can always tell they're toys. I think mostly because of the strong depth of field, textures that don't really scale well, and simply the lack of detail. Let's take some photos of this guy and see if we can beat those issues. I think you'd be surprised.
I set up this figure in my studio and made sure there's an orange light coming from behind, because I was obviously gonna make this sunset type of landscape. These are some of the pictures I took and ended up using one of the most basic poses, as he just looks the most stoic, I guess. It's just a good stance. He looks badass.
Let's drop this into Photoshop and get cooking.
The first thing I want to do is create a sort of greenish sky you see here. So using this photo, I began building that up. Using a gradient, I tried getting those mushy green-yellow tones in there, to which I then started adding a ton of different adjustments. To extend the clouds further up, I used some simple cloud brushes to paint some more. I made these very soft and subtle, so they're not too much in your face. Then for some stars in the sky, I actually used one of my own overlays from the Optics Plus pack. If you want that, check the link down below in the description.
I'm also gonna take inspiration from my own Season 2 poster. It's gonna look quite similar, but won't have all the extras. I just love what I did with the ground and the planet behind, so that concept I want to use for this one as well. Just better and more realistic, most of all.
Now let's continue with the ground area. I used these cutout rocks for the foreground. I rearranged some parts of it to fill up the entire width of the image. Eventually, it ended up being something like this. Then to give this some depth, I added a second layer behind it, which would end up being further in the distance. The idea was to add some rubble type elements to this landscape so it resembles the destroyed landscape from the Great Purge of Mandalore. Since Season 3 is at least partly gonna take place on Mandalore, I thought that'd be a great sort of symbolism to use in this poster. This comes at the very end though, as first I wanted to have that base done. I color corrected these rocks so they match the background. The most important thing, of course, is lighting, so I began painting light on these rocks coming from the sunset behind. These things are often very time consuming, but in the end it does look pretty fabulous. Once all in place, I added some shadows on the darker areas and of course a yellow-orange tint. After some final little tweaks, I got the base ready, so it's time to add the star of the show. First, of course, I color corrected it, giving him the same yellowish tone as the rest, and slightly adjusted the dark levels as well. Now pretty much instantly, we're gonna jump into the fun stuff. Highlights. The very thing that makes posters like this pop. Since I have pretty good reference lighting already, I could just paint over those to enhance them instead of painting them from scratch. When you have lights, always use them to save yourself a tedious amount of suffering. This made it look lovely, and after adjusting the brightness and intensity, I called it good.
Now here comes an interesting part. Usually I obviously try to go for realistic lighting where I can, but this is a promotional poster. That means he does have to be properly visible. He can't be too dark. This is of course the reason why the original poster is so awfully bright. He has to be visible. You have to be able to tell who this guy is. This is why I had some lights coming from straight in front of him. With this sunset lighting, realistically he is supposed to look something like this. However, we can all agree that this just doesn't look so great for a poster. So he's gonna have to be lit a little bit from the front, even if that doesn't make a ton of sense. To keep it consistent, however, I did make sure it's the same yellow kind of tone as all the other light. Now let's continue.
Now what I think make this figure looks kind of fake is the lack of shininess on his chrome parts. This instantly gives away that it's plastic. So well, it had to become shiny. I made the reflections on there as sharp as I could. Basically, chrome reflective surfaces have super sharp reflections, where more opaque textures have it quite blurry, or almost unrecognizable reflections, like on this figure. That's why I made sure to give it these very sharp edges and clear reflections. And you know what? That made a massive difference actually. Along with a few ambient shadows here and there, all of a sudden it looks super convincing. A final touch is a metal texture placed on top, giving it some more of these scratches and dirt spots, essentially just adding detail. To finish this whole step of placing him in there, I added some subtle glow near the horizon and a shadow under his feet to make sure it looks like he's really touching the rocks he's on. Now of course, and rightfully, you've been wondering, where is Grogu? Well, here he is. I chose an image in which the lighting is similar enough and added the same effects to him I used on Mando. Later I'd fixed the lighting on his face because it looks like it's coming from the left rather than behind. I really like the placement of him though. It's like a safe spot under Mando's protection. Lovely. Now, very important also, the title, The Mandalorian. I put that right on the bottom center, obviously, with the Disney Plus logo below. For now, that looked fine because there's one major thing missing: the planet behind him. I put one in behind him and made sure it's lit from the horizon. This helped make the composition even more symmetrical for the eye, which essentially just makes it even more psychologically pleasing. I added some little glow near the bright areas and well, there you go. Looking back, I wasn't a huge fan of the clouds near the horizon, so I added a new one on top, below the gradient layer. This way it instantly matched the rest of the colors and I could just fade out the edges for instant results. This looked way better in my opinion. Now, it wasn't fully finished yet, but I did want to check it out how it looked with a camera raw filter, so I started adding that right away. It's difficult getting the exact colors of the title card, but I kind of went free at this point, doing something I personally liked the look of. Now, the final touch are these rubble elements you see here. That's what I wanted as well, so I found some and spread them all over the ground area. That definitely did it for me. It's just a nice final detail to finish it off. I re-added the camera raw filter and well... I am blown away by how realistic it actually ended up looking. I did not see that coming with the photos I took. Overall, I'm just very happy with the way it turned out. Of course, the green and yellow is a bit of a hit or miss. You either like it or you hate it, but it is what they chose for the theme of the season, so I guess I just stuck with it. Personally, I do like the way it looks. It's unique, it's fresh, something else, so yeah. I actually made a second version that does have some more characters in it just to see what that looks like, and it is actually pretty cool as well. It's very stylized with them just kind of standing there, almost like one of these old paintings, but I still personally like the clean one a bit better. It's just so powerful and stoic. I don't think it really needs more than that, especially if you want to keep it in line with the official posters. So there you have it. Now, to go kind of a different route, I did actually make a second poster, which is similar, but also kind of different. I'm not gonna go over every single step I did for this one, but I thought it would still be fun to include it. It's really more of an extension or alteration of the first one, where it's essentially the exact same concept, but just done in a little bit different setting. The rock design I'm gonna add later is based off of this shot from the trailer. It just stood out to me, and since it's also in the original poster, I thought, why not? This one ended up being more of a concept poster, I suppose. Those rocks don't look very realistic. It's more of a simplistic take on it, I suppose. Besides, it's really about the first poster anyway. That's what this video was made for. So just something I wanted to try, and well, there you go.
I'm curious what you think about both these posters. Let me know down below in the comments. And then I guess for today, that is pretty much it. If you like this video, make very sure to leave a like, subscribe, hit that bell so you don't miss a single video. And then I hope I'll see you in my next video. That's 2 videos in 1 sentence. Great.